Aloha again. Welcome back to the Turtle Talks. My name is still David. In Hawaiian wisdom, a turtle, also known as a honu, is the bridge between worlds because turtles are born on the land. They lay their eggs in the sand, and then the first thing that happens is those little turtles pop out and they run down from the sand into the water, and they literally spend their entire lives in the water. But that bridge right there is what creates what the Hawaiians call the Honu energy, the bridge between worlds. And hopefully I'm going to provide some assistance in that way, the worlds in this case being the seen and the unseen. And that just doesn't necessarily apply to you. In fact, in this particular Turtle Talk, it's going to apply to the big and the little. And in this case, I'm talking about pure science. So in the first episode, we talked about how you can use logic by Pascal's wager to sort of reason your way to why looking at yourself as more than you think you are when you look in the mirror can be a really wise idea for how to approach life. We're going to talk later about the specific tools you can use, but that's the general concept, which is it is exactly not a waste of time to approach life in this way. In fact, it might be the most valuable decision you ever made in what is about to be a long series of positive decisions that you're going to make based on some new information that you're going to have and new ways of looking at your life and making those decisions. One of those little bits of information that we're going to share today has to do with hardcore science and what you really are, meaning physically what you are. So science likes to split things into little itty bitty tiny pieces, and you know what happens when they divide them up into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces? You know what happens when they do that with you? Or frankly with anything on Earth, when they start splitting those little pieces of molecules down into atoms, and the atoms into quarks, and the quarks into little elements of quarks and stuff like that, you know what happens? There's nothing left but light. In fact, right now, quantum physics can't determine the true nature of particles because they're all waves. Waves of light. That's right. When you split you down into the smallest little tiny pieces, you don't wind up with a little grain of sand. You wind up with waves of light. What does that tell you about the true nature of you? It might tell you a lot of things about the true nature of you. In fact, let's tie that immediately together with some spiritual ideas. We'll call them spiritual ideas just because they could be referred to as mystical ideas, or ideas that come across outside of the physical experience typically. But for thousands and thousands of years, the wise mystics have been telling us that the universe is nothing but light. Now science is digging down into the little pieces of that to determine the universe is nothing but light. In fact, in 2017, they had a scientific report that came out that said there's as much evidence that we live inside of a hologram as there is that there's any physical true nature to the universe. What is a hologram? A hologram is a projection of light. We see holograms all around us when we see advertising, or we see little holograms pop up from our credit cards. A hologram is an illusion. It looks like a solid three-dimensional construct, but in fact, it is only a construction of light waves. Now we combine that with the idea that after people have passed away, when they have had what we call near-death experiences, meaning they have passed away and come back, what's the experience that they have? The experience is they see light. They are surrounded completely by light on all sides. The mystics, once again, will tell you, this is something we're going to get back to in a future episode when we talk about going in what the Native Americans call our seventh direction. So you have the six directions we all know: north, south, east, and west, and then up and down. And then the Native Americans refer to the seventh direction as inward. What do we find when we look inward in meditation? And the answer is we find that we are made of colored pools of light. All the colors of the rainbow. So, there is scientific evidence that you are nothing but light. There is the ancient mystical evidence that there is nothing but light in you. And then there is the personal experience that you can actually have yourself, where you can sit down through a series of exercises that, again, we'll talk about later, and you can actually see yourself as a rainbow. The colors of light that are in you are exactly the same and in the same order as a rainbow that you will see in the sky or rising off of waves or wherever that particular combination of light shining through a prism breaks itself into the 7 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo blue, which is a sort of a midnight blue, and then purple, violet. These are the colors that you see in the rainbow. These are the colors that you see inside of you. Now, science has taken it to the next step and is revealing that inside of us, the tiniest little pieces, we are also made of nothing but light. And color, being a vibration, a frequency of light, red being a lower frequency, purple being a higher frequency, not only is that factually true, but each of these particles that science is discovering in their little tiny pieces, each of these waves vibrates at its own wavelength, at its own vibration. So now we have multiple things from multiple different directions that we can pull from: hardcore science, ancient mysticism, people's personal experiences, that can all push us in going in the direction of understanding that there is more to us than it looks like. In fact, quantum physics would tell us we are made of nothing but these waves of light, and that everything that you're experiencing is potentially a hologram made of light. These are not random thought ideas from drugged out minds. These are the latest facts of scientific discovery. If science is now telling you the same thing that spirituality has told the universe, has told our conscious world for hundreds or thousands of years, what does that tell you about the true nature of you and of reality? The goofiness of light hardly compares to the goofiness of time or the goofiness of deep quantum physics, which is something that we're going to talk about briefly. We're not going to get too deeply into it, but that stuff adds just more fuel to this fire, that you are more than you look like when you look in the mirror. Science can prove it, and we're going to talk more about it when we come back. Have a great day. Aloha.